Everybody's out?
We got him out.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a lot of fun breaking stuff over the years. Like that fan in the first Jackass movie. That was in the first apartment I ever rented, and we used to have so much fun busting up coffee tables in there. That guy right there is my old roommate, Schliz. And Schliz, dude, I'm so stoked looking at these old coffee table stunts on your commitment to destruction, dude.
Hell yeah, Steveo. Thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah.
I love destroying those tables, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna show everybody the one you did in Tommy Lee's dressing room at the Kimmel Show now. Oh, yeah!
Awesome.
But when you break stuff in a hotel, it's more expensive than if you break that stuff other places. Like when we were in Hawaii in 2002, I was on tour with Wee Man and Preston Lacey from Jackass, and we showed up at this hotel super drunk and just started tossing around patio chairs. Wee Man hucks it across the hotel room and breaks a coffee maker. I start going after this microwave.
I didn't ask for a fucking microwave in my room.
We had a lot of fun. But it turned out to be pretty expensive. I can't remember how much.
Your camera, your room.
Sure, it took me some time, but I learned valuable lessons for hotel etiquette. Like, don't knock the pictures off the walls.
What's that picture doing on the wall?
I don't know, I don't like it. It's totally depressing me.
If you really need to barf, throw a towel over it. Leave them $100. And maybe try not shitting into a glass and throwing it all over the room. Even if someone's trying to shit on you.
I got it all over my really fucking cool hotel room.
At a certain point, I was renting 4 different apartments in one building. One I lived in. One, I had this assistant who lived in it. The other one was like an office/editing bay, and the 4th one was a skate park. It all got very expensive, especially when we started breaking down walls to build the skate park. I was on drugs so bad when my buddy Ryan Simonetti and I went to go break through this wall that the intro I gave before doing it was just super uncomfortable to watch.
That wall is going to go away.
It didn't even occur to me that I might hit a stud, which I totally did.
1, 2, 3.
My head doesn't feel so hot. My head hurts so bad. We end up kicking through the whole thing. I never even fucking skated that park. I was up in the other apartment just doing drugs. And I destroyed that apartment even worse. Smashed the whole sliding glass door. Who knows what that cost. Broke, like, everything. Fucking everything. One time in a blackout, I just destroyed the whole computer setup.
So it seems like I might have busted up my pad a little bit last night. There's not much left of that keyboard. And this fucking thing, I'm glad I broke it, dude. Fucking...
I said I was glad I broke that, but the truth is I wasn't. And I'm also not glad about all the stuff I did to the neighbor, but that's a whole other story to get into another time. Calling the cops on me? After that, I got arrested for vandalism, and then I got arrested for felony cocaine possession, and then I got evicted from the apartment, and then I had the intervention, like all in the space of a week. And then, of course, I went to rehab and I got sober. Well, It's not like getting sober made me really reasonable, because I've been sober for like, I don't know, 6 months or something, and I decided I wanted the skate park in the other apartment, which I still had, to be bigger. So I removed the studs this time, got my buddies Big Reg and Adam to do this football thing, and it looked like Mr. Kool-Aid coming through the wall. It was awesome. I don't think we ever ended up building the ramps any bigger because I got evicted from that apartment too. So we had an eviction party with like a fucking death metal band playing. I'm all about making better decisions now. So ladies and gentlemen, fucking nihilist. Can you believe that party got me kicked out of the whole building? You know you're messing up when the building you're renting 4 apartments from says, get the fuck out of all of them. And for most people, that would cover the most expensive stuff they've destroyed. But me, I've got 2 more. The second most expensive one was while we were filming Jackass the movie. They had this big extravagant ending planned where they were giving us a full $1 million to spend on a bit where we're all made into old men. It was such a big budget shoot, they wanted to make sure it ran smoothly. So they planned to sequester the whole cast like 24 hours ahead of time, and they sent this van to pick us up. Well, they picked me up last. And I get in the van, I'm just loaded as can be on cocaine. One way or another, some very provocative music started playing, and I got excited. Went from 0 to 100 real fast, tore down the ceiling inside the van, and next thing you know, everybody's going apeshit. Ripping out seats, pulling down wires, ripping down everything, pissing all over the van.
What else can we break?
This whole time, Johnny Knoxville was in the van, and he was like the responsible adult. He's like, no, don't break the window. But like, I'm like, boom, boom, remember it being tough to break. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, both feet, boom, like fuck that window. So then we get to the location, we get out of the van.
I only managed to get that much steveo piss on me. Pretty good.
I decided to keep beating up the van. Broke out every window.
Yeah!
There was nothing left of that van.
It's dead.
That whole time we thought it was a rental van, but it turned out that it belonged to the Teamsters Union. You know, like the Jimmy Hoffa union of people you don't mess with. And on top of that, it was the personal van of like, I don't know, the boss or something. They were pissed. So the next morning, we go into our old man makeup, which is like extra hours for me and Pontius because we were wearing just bikinis. And by the time everybody was set up, our executive producer comes in just livid. And he's like, you guys, you fucked up. And he's just chewing us out. But the thing was, he was yelling at a big group of old men. It was ridiculous. Unsurprisingly, we had to replace that van, which might have cost $29,000, and that is a lot. But not compared to what happened in South Africa when we were filming the pilot for Wild Boys. We're staying at a pretty fancy resort. It's all these nice little cottages, these cabins, right? I check into my cabin and the guy says, if you get cold, start a fire. There's a fireplace with a basket full of logs and these little wax fire starter things. I said, okay, cool, man. So we're all checked in. A few of us are drinking in my cabin, and I just keep putting the logs in the fireplace, right? I did put all of them in the fireplace, as well as all of the wax blocks, but I only put in the fireplace what was sitting there designated to go into the fireplace. We didn't think anything of it. We're drinking. I remember the little fireplace had this metal tube going up to the ceiling, right? This little chimney tube, and it was glowing bright orange. Didn't think anything of it. I remember I was lighting cigarettes off the orange tube. Right, we're sitting there drinking. All of a sudden, in the middle of the ceiling, in like the little living room, just, it turns out that above the ceiling, this fire had been raging like for a good time. We didn't even know it. Like here, the ceiling breaks down. Fire. Now we realize the whole fucking thing's on fire. Like, I remember running over and grabbing like a kettle or a pot or something. I fill up with water and throw water like, dude, not gonna put it out. So we realized the only thing left to do at this point is to try to get everybody out, because there are a bunch of cabins, right, with people in them, and it's the middle of the night. So Pontius and I just start going around smashing windows, yelling, everybody get out, get out.
Everybody's out?
They're all out. We got them out.
What happened, dude?
We put the logs in fire, but some fucking roof is on fire.
3 entire cabins burned to the ground, gone. And like, turns out that some of the people who we woke up and essentially saved from the fire were a honeymooning couple from England, and they happened to be journalists. They went on to write an article for their newspaper about how we saved their lives. It was a hero article. How we saved their lives from the fire we started. In all seriousness, that was a complete bummer, but at least nobody got hurt. And it's not a bummer at all that we got Shaquille O'Neal on our podcast. Click right here for the craziest interview with Shaq, and Nick Swardson right here. Oh yeah, he's like the funniest dude ever. Make sure you watch them both. And what else, man? This video made me feel like a pretty terrible person. So I'm gonna go wrangle my goats and be a good guy.